On this episode of the Notorious POD, a very special episode close to my heart because we're going to talk about metaverse, mirror world, and the application with Julian Pucci from Ntry.
This is Notorious POD, the podcast for the best informed people in the real estate industry. Rob Hahn is your host, and Notorious is where the real estate industry comes for real talk with no bullshit.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a post-Memorial Day, not Installations, that's my other podcast, Notorious POD. I'm solo on this one. And although I'm not solo, because there's a topic that I've been wanting to talk about. It's something I'm pretty excited about, which is the metaverse. And I don't know if you know, but I wrote a post a little bit ago talking about where I think the metaverse will actually be useful, right? And since that post, and where I think it's going to be useful is something we call mirror world, right? And we're going to get into a lot more of that because after that, I got introduced to a company out of Canada, out of Toronto, doing this work right now. They have a live product in the marketplace. I was very excited to find out about them. And I thought, I want to bring on my special guest, Julian Pucci. Hey, Julian, how are you?
How's it going?
It's going great. Thanks for coming on. Great to meet you. And you are with a company called Ntry, right?
Yeah.
And you guys are relatively new.
Yes, definitely. Just had our first launch event back a couple months ago. Right
on. And I'm thinking we're going to get into a lot of the history, but the way to start this off is just like showing a few seconds of a video that you guys have put out on YouTube. And look, anybody who's listening to this on a podcast, I have to tell you, this is one thing you might want to go to YouTube and check out, or at least go check out Ntry on YouTube. And Ntry is Entry, because you have to actually see what these guys have done. So let's go ahead and just kind of play this so we could then talk about it. Obviously, you guys were doing a Matrix, homage.
I mean, it's kind of fitting, right?
Right. But look at that.
So I want everyone to keep in mind, these aren't renderings. These are live, real, interactive environments.
It's so incredible.
No renderings.
This is incredible.
Yeah. You can actually walk those streets.
Mm-hmm. Incredible. All right. For everything else, people should actually go and watch the whole video. Let's pause this. It's just incredible. And we may come back to this and refer to some of it, but
sure.
Okay. That is unbelievable. So first of all, just tell us a little about Ntry and kind of the history, how you all got started. What is Ntry?
Yeah. So, that's a great question. It's a loaded question actually, because there's just so much to it that it's hard to give you the elevator pitch for Ntry because there's just so much to it. But the best way to put it is it's like you said, you said it best in your article. You called it a mirror world, right? What is the metaverse? Mm-hmm. It's the mirror world, right? And I like to refer to it as that too, the alternative reality. A replication of a digital twin of the real world, right? And that's essentially what we're doing with Ntry. We're creating an alternative reality of the real world in virtual reality, and not in virtual reality, but in the virtual world. So you as an agent or a broker or even a consumer can go onto this platform, this metaverse, this alternative reality, and walk the streets of downtown Toronto from anywhere you want in the world with any device. So that's the, in
any device. We're gonna get into that because there's some fun, some technical things there. So
for sure.
Before we get into that, I mean, I have to I've been, the way I look at it is I think I'm a sort of a OG of the whole metaverse scheme because I was, in my youth, which is, God damn it, it's like 30 years ago now. I was like Ultima Online, EverQuest, Asheron's Call, the very first massively multiplayer online games, right?
And you know what's funny? Those are metaverses, right? What people don't realize is metaverse has been around for a long time.
Exactly.
And people just don't know that unless you're a gamer.
Unless you're a gamer. So I kind of wanted to know, like, how did this company come about? I know you're one of the co-founders. Like, how'd y'all even think about doing this? What's the story there?
Well, like so I have a heavy video game background, total nerd. I nerd out hardcore with video games. my MOBAs, my MMORPGs, like I'm totally into it. You know what I mean? Don't let the starkish good look.
What was your top game of choice?
Believe it or not, yeah. So I played World of Warcraft for a while. Anything Blizzard. I was heavy Blizzard.
Yep.
I love StarCraft. I still play StarCraft to this day, believe it or not.
Yeah. So I don't play anymore, but I watch like the TV, the Twitch, like World Championships and stuff.
Exactly. Warcraft 3, Warcraft 2. And Dota, like those type of games. I'm totally into those type of games, and all the way down to the old Age of Empires type of games and Command and Conquer and stuff like that. I play games like Call of Duty and stuff like that, and Halo. But for me, I need something that's a little bit more mentally stimulating. Being a hardcore gamer, so I always went to those type of games. So going back to the original question, my roots have always been a video gamer. I was always totally into video games. Watched the games, loved the competition games, all that kind of stuff, and I loved it. But as I got older and played a lot less games, had a couple kids and got married, it kind of took away from that. So I've been in real estate now in the GTA now for about close to 7 years, and it's a very competitive market here. There's over 50,000 agents just in Toronto alone, believe it or not.
True.
It's insane. So trying to market and get some sort of small piece of market share, set yourself apart from all these other agents is so tough. And I've been able to I've been very successful at being a realtor, and I was looking at different avenues of how I can market and sell, and gain market share, more market share online, get more eyeballs, aside different from the way everyone else is doing it. So one of my partners, one of the other co-founders was creating these gaming environments essentially for developers on an individual basis. So when I saw what they were doing, being the gamer that I was like, oh, this is super cool. They're using Unreal Engine. I used to play Unreal. I was totally into those games. I'm like, I know exactly what this is. And this is super cool. So I hooked up with my now partner, and I was like, what. We kind of shot back and forth. I'm like, can you create this world for me? I started off as a totally different concept, but can you create this world for me so I can use it to market and sell? Right.
So let me pause right there. So were you starting out with the world, or were you starting out like with a home? Because like it seems like as a realtor, were you thinking the entire world, or were you thinking home? That's the question.
I was thinking the entire GTA, Toronto, Ontario, pretty much Canada wide. I wanted to go Canada wide, but start with basically Ontario. There's a lot of, traditional websites out there like Realtor.ca and these other websites that have multiple, like Zolos of the world, like those type of websites. But there's nothing about them that are visually pleasing, right? There's nothing about them that gives you the idea of what the actual property is going to look like, what you're actually buying, especially from a new construction standpoint, right? So I wanted to take it to the next level. That's how the idea was born. And then it just very quickly spiraled from there, because that's the way tech is. Sure. So, yeah.
So when did you have the idea? Are you guys like venture funded? Like what's your situation? You're a startup, right?
No venture capitalists. We're all private equity. And my famous tagline, and you'll hear my partner say it at the launch event on stage, is we're built by all the people in the industry for the industry.
Right. Okay. So it's the fusion of real estate and gaming, basically.
Gaming. Gaming. Real estate agents and developers all came together to create one platform for everyone.
Right. Okay. So. First sort of, I think you guys are running on Unreal Engine 5.
Yes, we just switched over.
You just switched. So when you started the company, you were thinking Engine 4, which is good.
We were already using Unreal 4, which is obviously the best game in my opinion, the best engine in the world. But As soon as Unreal 5 came out, UA5,
Right.
we just immediately switched everything over, and we're still doing that.
Right. I imagine.
We don't build an Unreal 4 anymore anyways. So,
and maybe there's some aspects of that I'm not fully familiar with. But like I said, for me, this whole thing began. First of all, the metaverse has been much in the news, right? Like Decentraland and all this stuff, and people are like buying real estate, in these worlds, and I'm like, look, like I said, I'm an MMO guy, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I played all those games, StarCraft, 8 Command & Conquer. I think I'm significantly older than you, so I'm like an OG. I was playing this stuff in 1999, right?
Awesome.
Over like dial-up. But the thing that I think I really took away is, if you can have this world at low resolution graphics, you're still in the world. And there's something that people who never really did MMOs, I think, fail to really understand. Like, you've done World of Warcraft. When you're playing, you're not really like, yeah, you're playing, and yeah, you're looking at a computer, and you're interacting with like a keyboard and mouse. But there's something that happens where you really feel like you're inhabiting, you're in the world. You know what I mean? You're
inside that world. It's like another extension of you in another alternate reality, essentially, right?
Right. And everyone thinks like you need like the goggles and the full and I'm like, no, you really actually don't.
And to be honest, not only do you not, the technology's not there yet. Virtual reality, in my opinion, and you can take this how everyone wants. Maybe everyone may have a different opinion, but it sucks right now. Virtual reality sucks. It's not. It's in
the early phases.
It's in the infancy, and don't get me wrong. Within the next 5 years, it's going to catch up. But the problem is, especially in the real estate space, people are trying to put it in sales offices and do that stuff. But the frame rates are just not there, and people are just getting sick. They're they take it off, and they're like, oh, I feel nauseous, and the graphics are really, really bad. It's just not there yet. It's not there yet. But eventually, Ready Player One all the way, it's going to be there sooner than people think.
So here's the so I had this conversation with Glenn Sanford. Obviously EXP, is like, that's their big thing, right? They're the real estate company in the cloud, virtual office. They have their own building, they have their own, and it's really worked really well for them. But I always criticize them.
Verbella,
right?
It's called Verbella.
Yeah, Verbella. I've always criticized them, like I get it, guys. And again, as an MMO guy, I could see how this is really useful and this is amazing. And I totally get it. But I'm like, why are you still stuck in like, this 8-bit graphics world of, of Minecraft?
Those are great answers for that.
And so he gave me some answers, and basically his thing was, it's about bandwidth. It's about it's one thing to have like an Unreal Engine 5 experience if you are a single player, in a Matrix Reloaded game or whatever. It's a very different thing when you have to process 1,000 different people connecting to that world at the same time. Like, so talk to me about that. I mean,
so it's not just the amount of people, to be honest. It has to do with the fact, they're building it on almost like a WebGL standpoint. It's built to run in the browser, right?
Right.
Anything built to run in the browser can only operate so much, or only give you a certain level of of graphics before it starts crashing. And that's why Decentraland looks the way it does. That's why Sandbox looks the way it does. And that's why Verbella, EXP, like you were just bringing up, that's why they look the way they do, because it's what's the easiest thing to access for people? People don't want to buy a $5,000 laptop or, a huge gaming thing and rig it up in their house. A regular real estate agent is not going to do that. Realistically, right? They're going to have their little iPad Air, and that's going to be it, right? They're not, or Apple, whatever it is. They're not going to go buy a gaming computer just to run that. So the easiest solution for that is to have it run in the browser. And now that limits you beyond belief, and that's why they're still stuck with those graphics. Okay,
so what you guys are doing at Ntry, do you have your own app that basically then you have to launch in order to get into this world?
So without indulging too much information about some of our secret sauces, essentially what we're doing is we're streaming it directly to almost like Google Stadia. So we'll be providing the hardware and streaming it directly to people's whatever device they want. So you're gonna be able to get Xbox, PlayStation, high-level computer level graphics on any device, whether it be your phone, tablet, laptop. Doesn't matter.
But you're not relying on the browser, because to your point, if it's a website, if it's a browser, there's limitations. You just can't do it.
Massive limitations.
So they would have to launch some sort of app or some sort of viewer or something, right, in order to overcome that graphics distribution. Okay.
They'd have to download a game just like you would, you'd have to download the game and it would take up X amount. It'd only run as good as your processor.
Right. Okay. So with that said, let's talk about Ntry specifically. You guys have all of GTA. Like, what do you have so far? I guess is the question.
So things since we launched, the words around metaverses and all that kind of stuff and everything we're doing with our environments and being ultra realistic and being in AI and all these other stuff.
While we're talking about that, let's get the video up. I mean, I'll just play without sound,
sure,
just so we could kind of see. Yeah, go ahead. This is incredible, right?
Yeah, and I want everyone to keep in mind, guys, like a lot of developers, because it's hard for them to understand. They're all much older and they're trying to. They relate to what they know, which is, these are renderings. So these are renderings. Mm-hmm. This is what it's like. No, these are interactive environments. These are like, you can literally take your avatar or even, first person, whatever you want, and walk through this unit right here.
So let me ask you about it. When you say interactive, do you mean like, can I move this bed? Can I move chairs around? Like
100% you could. Yeah, absolutely. You can change out all the furniture. You can displace it anywhere you want. You can change out the finishes just like you see here. And you can look around and walk around without having to point and click and walk like you would on like a normal, web hotspot tour or something like that, right?
But when you're doing, so in this previous, let me go back. So in this previous, so here, for example, you're showing people. There's some people. Where's the people? There's some avatars.
There's some NPCs in there, obviously, and then for sure. And then we have, definitely have some, which is really crazy now. Where we have a whole bunch of AI now, NPCs. So essentially, we can put a whole bunch, like a major traffic jam, whether they're driving cars or they're walking streets, and we walking around on the sidewalks with them, to the point where if you walk up to them and you bump into them, they'll look at you like, hey, what the hell? Like, if their AI car is driving at you and you walk in front of it, the car stops.
Yeah. Hey, Unreal Engine 5 is capable of some amazing stuff. But let me ask you about your product in this situation. So you don't have an avatar in the world. Like, I don't have to create an avatar in order to interact, right? I'm almost like just flying through. Yeah. And you have these tools for the modifications. But what I meant by the interactive environment is like, could I have an avatar in this world, right? Mm-hmm. And then my avatar can walk up and pull that chair out. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, are we at that level yet, or is the technology not quite there yet?
I mean, that's pretty advanced. We're not, for our purposes, we're not doing that, but definitely that is a possibility.
Okay.
We're saying to the notice where, your avatar can come in there, it can walk around just like you see it here, smooth, beautiful, walk through everything. Just like you're walking through your own house. But then you would change, if you want to change out those chairs to go, shop on Restoration Hardware and see what it'll look like in there, then you can switch them out, see what they're going to look like, and maybe even buy them, right? And have them shipped to your house. So essentially,
in order for that to happen, so you have the platform. In order for that to happen, does Restoration Hardware have to provide you guys with some sort of assets or graphics, or like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't just go do it. So, like, I just go on Restoration, like they have to be partnered with you somehow, right?
Yeah, we definitely have to have some partnerships with some furniture companies for instance, right? There's lots of other avenues, but for talking about furniture specifically,
it just takes furniture.
Definitely need to partner up with some certain furniture companies, which some we're already in the talks with, but some of them already have 3D visualization, like little 3D models, and we can take that 3D model, convert it into Unreal Engine, and then make it beautiful. So
it's pretty awesome.
But we can also build it off of just photos. So if Restoration Hardware says, here's my whole catalog, can you guys just please get these sets done? And we can do it we can build it in UE5 off of photos.
Oh, you can? Yeah. But that's manual labor, right? Like your coders or your designers, your Unreal Engine 5 people would have to take those photos and then do it manually, I would imagine, right?
But okay. I'm gonna go out there and be super biased. We have some of the best people in the entire world. Definitely the best people in Canada.
Yeah. So here's why I'm asking. So first of all, right now it feels like where you guys are utilizing Ntry, right? To your point, it came out of sort of new construction markets. It makes sense, right? If I'm a multifamily developer, and if we go forward a little bit on this video, I think we can really see that, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Scene.
definitely started with the new construction. So from a developer standpoint, we're giving them, sales and marketing tools that they can use in their sales offices or in their virtual sales offices that they can use for sales and marketing. And then likewise, these environments will live inside the metaverse where all agents can then take their clients and actually do showings in this alternative reality, whether pre-construction or even just regular resale properties.
And what's cool about this is like, look, I mean, I haven't bought a condo in a real long time, but I used to rent in New York City. So this ability, like you see a floor plan, right? They'll give you a printed floor plan. It's like, here are the units, but it's really hard to visualize. Whereas this is that floor plan, but brought to this life. 3D walkable world, right? Which is amazing. Brought
to life. Yeah.
Yeah. So I totally get this. Question one, is there anyone using this right now?
Well, yeah, we have
family guys.
Yeah, so we definitely have developers all over Toronto, actually all over the North America at this point, and even beyond now. At this point, we're doing some stuff in Costa Rica and all over the place. Definitely, developers are already on board and using our applications for their own sales and marketing purposes.
Okay, what's the cost to them to do this?
You
don't have to disclose pricing, but the reason why I'm asking is.
It's hard. It's actually It's actually way cheaper than you would think, and it's extremely competitive, comparable to, what a developer would pay for 500 paper brochures.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like it's very affordable for them. And it makes sense. It makes sense.
Okay. That was my question. And then sort of what's their experience? Like so they work with Ntry. Right, they set up this system because they're putting up a building, right, or they're retrofitting a building, whatever the situation is, and they're talking to clients like, are they seeing client adoption? Are they seeing do you know what I mean? Tell me a little bit about what you're learning so far from having this in the marketplace.
Well, I can tell you from my standpoint as a realtor and using systems like this from a client perspective, it gives them a full visualization of what they're actually buying. It goes back to what we're actually saying, right? Whereas a client, let's just say, buying off of a black line piece of paper of a floor plan, how are they supposed to visualize what that view is really supposed to look like? How are they supposed to visualize? Does my unit even get sun? Like what is it? You know what I mean? With our system, we actually geo-targeted the exact sun position at all times of the year, so you can move the sun at any time of the day and see exactly what your sun said or how long you have the sun for. So what it's doing is giving clients, builders clients, the ability to actually see and experience and almost touch and feel what they're buying. And what they're saying is that it's giving them a new level of experience. And likewise, what it's also doing is helping builders rid away of, those traditional massive sales offices that they spend millions of dollars on. That makes no sense. These long lineups, these empty sales offices, all this stuff. It doesn't make any sense. They'd rather put the money into this, which is going to give a way better experience and produce even better results.
So you've actually used the Ntry system as a realtor working with a buyer.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Okay. So the question is, this is always one of those things where we talk to like 3D tours or stuff like that. Remember during the pandemic, there were some agent teams, a bunch of people were talking about selling houses sight unseen, right? Where there's somebody from, say, New York, they want to move to Florida. They're like, they just walk through with a phone and the client would just buy it.
Done.
Right. So the question that comes is it doesn't seem realistic to me, but maybe you found it different. That somebody's going to go and spend $1 million on, let's face it, what the average price in Toronto is probably $1 million or north of.
Yep.
You're not going to do that without actually walking through it, right?
Absolutely. No, I got to be honest with you. I agree with you.
Right. So where does this fit in that process? I guess my question.
So, listen, we're creating a world for real estate agents and brokerages to help service clients better and also make their lives much easier and make a client's life more easier, average buyer or seller. So if the buyer or seller can not have to drive around to 15, 20, 30 different houses to, drive all the way an hour just to see that there's the front door is not facing the way they want it to, or the fire hydrants in front of the house. What we're trying to do is streamline that process for them. I agree with you. I think at the end of the day, listen, I've sold houses without people looking at them too during crazy times with using FaceTime and stuff like that. But not 90% of the people aren't like that. They need to, when they're buying a resale property, I feel like the final thing is they have to see for sure. But if I can narrow that down and save you days and times and hours and gas and everything from 13 listings or 13 showings down to 2 real life showings, because you've already seen all the rest and have already ruled them out, and you go out and you buy one of those properties on that spot, my job is done. Because
is that what you have found using Ntry? That's really what I'm curious about. So you've worked with actual clients doing this. Like, what was that like? On
the new construction side, yes. On the resale side, so once it hasn't launched yet, it will launch once the platform launches. So that's our vision, that's our goal for resale. But on the pre-construction side, I've definitely been using. We all have been definitely using it. Clients love it, like absolutely. Clients love it because it's giving them a visualization. Oh yeah, it's giving them a visualization of something they never able to experience before.
So in this case, like, let's say this woman on the screen is the client. She's looking at like 5 different units in this building. So she's able to go look at all different 5 and decide, okay, I really like this one. And then she'll go and physically visit that one unit because she's narrowed it down, something like that. I mean, that's been your experience, that's your finding. Okay.
Exactly, right? Instead of me and her having to go to 20 different buildings and, why? What's the point? I can do all my showings in here, and then we can narrow it down to the final couple that she actually is worth seeing.
So that piece you can do with just a building, right? What you guys are doing is the next step up, which is you want the entire world. So tell me, like, in your actual experience working with clients, okay, so they look at this building, she says, okay, I like unit 2A, that looks amazing. So cool. What is the benefit of having all of GTA in there? What happens next?
I'm going into a subdivision. I want to experience what's around this neighborhood. Where's the park? Where's everything? Where's the closest amenities on this condo building? Where's my GO train? We can actually tie in, the GO train schedules, the TTC schedules, so you can actually see what time the buses are coming, the trains are coming, and you can actually walk the streets and see where they are. All those things, all the stuff around it, all that stuff is if just as important, if not more important, than the actual unit or home itself. So the question there becomes this: how do you get that data, and how do you maintain that data? So in other words, okay, so in the world, I mean, presumably you must be getting some sort of feed. Like, actually, start there. How do you get that information about the neighborhood, about GTA, the city of Toronto is freaking massive. So how do you get that info? Well, if you want to get stuff like flight paths for planes, or you want TTC schedules, all that stuff is public information, so you can get that, no problem. But in terms of, where do we get information in terms of like, where stuff is and all that kind of stuff? Yeah. So again, I'm not going to say any things on here that may maybe not allowed to say, but I'm just going to say it's all public information.
I mean, I was looking. There was like this scene here, right? We show this. I'm gonna just play it real quick, right? She's walking by stores. Like, how do you know what stores are where? That's kind of what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah. So again, all that stuff is public information in terms of where it's located and all that kind of stuff. So we can off of photogrammetry, we can essentially create these digital worlds. So we have a partner of ours that flies every city around the world right now. It gets us super high quality photogrammetry, better than Google Earth, better than anything like that. That gives us super, super, super high photogrammetry, which we then convert using algorithms and also very, high technical people into this super cool gaming environments.
So there's a couple of real interesting stuff, and this isn't just you guys, but it's like the mirror world, as a thing, right? And like I said, I mean, I think you guys are this is the most advanced I've seen in Unreal Engine 5, but I know there are companies like GeoPipes that are working on this out of like New York. There's a company out of Korea that I'm aware of, Naver, which is like one of the big tech companies. They're doing this with something called Arc First.
Yeah.
And they went and sort of digitized the city of Seoul, right? Which is kind of neat. But I feel like they weren't using Unreal Engine 5, and you guys are taking advantage of the newer tech.
A lot of people are using Unity, which is,
right.
It's great, but it's not as good as Unreal. It's really not. And it's the reason why people stick with Unity is because it's hard to find developers for Unreal. Extremely hard. Extremely hard. And there's a boatloads more people with Unity experience.
Right. Plus, Unreal Engine 5 is brand new, and I'd imagine that game companies out there are offering big old paychecks to people who know how to use this stuff. So that's another struggle you guys have to just go find these people and hold on to them.
That's probably one of our biggest challenges.
Yeah. But so with that said, I mean, I know there are other companies that do this. What's interesting to me is, all right, take the use case. I'm looking at 10 York, right? And we saw those floor plans. This is awesome. I really like 2A. Cool. Now I'm going to walk around the neighborhood and say, oh, look, there's the Starbucks. There's the grocery store. Oh, there's my bank. And, I walk around, there's the park. Things like parks are more or less much more permanent, right? But things like stores and restaurants do change all the time. So the question is like, how do you keep that up? Do you bother
Oh no, we definitely have to keep it up. We're definitely constantly updating for sure. We, it's very important that we keep all the information up to date. But most likely, in terms of an entire overview, we might do yearly, updates in terms of that Starbucks change to a Tim Hortons. Then within that year, we'll definitely figure that out.
So you have to at least update it annually, which
at least, if not much more. But yes.
Right. Do you ever run into problems with those companies making issue of like usage of the logos and and things like that? Do you know what I mean?
Definitely, there's some for the large corporations. Most definitely, there's some private privacy laws in there. 110%. We're always making sure that we abide by all of those for sure.
Right. It's one of the things that's okay. So from that standpoint,
100%, you're absolutely correct. That's a great statement.
The second question is interior. Exterior, I feel like there really is no expectation of privacy on the outside of your storefront. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, there just isn't.
There's outside of a building. Go on Google. I mean, it's already there.
Right, exactly.
Google
there is no expectation of privacy, and that's just law generally.
And from a marketing standpoint, being a business owner, why would you want it to be?
Correct. I'm just thinking like as a homeowner, right?
Yeah.
I have no expectation of privacy on the outside of my home. So if you came by with a drone and shot my neighborhood, I can't be like angry with you. I can't be like, how dare you take photos of my house? It's the outside of your home. Things change what's the inside.
100%.
Right. Inside the walls now have a lot of expectation of privacy, right? So I'm looking at, the interior shots, right? Like all these exterior shots, that's all, like there's no privacy, like get out of here with that privacy nonsense. This privacy. Right.
Sure. Yeah.
So question is this particular thing, is this a render? Is this a photograph of the inside? Is this virtual staging? What is this?
So from a new construction standpoint, inside these units, it's we create these environments, these hyper-realistic, interactive, walkable environments for the interiors. So developers can use them for marketing and sales. They can show off the great finishes that they're going to have inside their beautiful penthouse, right? So we create a one-to-one scale of their best units, and we use them for marketing. They use them for marketing and sales. That's what you're seeing here. But I think more of your question in terms of privacy and all that stuff kind of comes back to the resale side of things, where it's 20-year-old home. I don't want you taking pictures of the inside of my house and posting it somewhere. But you would if it was.
Well, maybe I do. Actually, it's this. Maybe I say I do want to do it. Question is how quickly can you do that?
Okay, so awesome question. So yeah, definitely. When it comes time to traditionally list a house, let's just say I'm gonna list my house for sale. I'm gonna call my agent. He's gonna come by. He's gonna get he or she's gonna come by and get photos, videos, do all that kind of stuff, right? So they're gonna do it anyways. So what we've created actually with some of our partners is, you would take your phone as a listing. It's just another service, just like you were to give photos or videos. You're going to take your phone. You're going to go around. You're going to take photos of your lot, your house, exterior of your house, and in the inside of your house. And it's going to, using algorithms and AI, is going to automatically convert it into a special type of file. That special type of file gets spit into our algorithms and spits out in Unreal 5 a twin of it.
Wow. So it can be more or less, it's like, that was my concern, right? Something like this for new construction. I'm a big developer. I spend whatever, $500,000 to do this. It makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. For homeowner, if
wouldn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Right. Too expensive, right?
And too time consuming. Because like, I'm sorry, like, though these people are not common to begin with. If that takes a month to put together an inside, like, it's just not going to work, right?
No, it's not. That's why we had to simplify the process using AI. And
so this is created in hours, like days, like how long? Like, let's say, okay, I list my home, Julian, I want this 3D render. How long?
Within 2 days, you can have
2 days.
Within Unreal 5, you can have an Unreal 5 version of your lot, the exact topograph of the land, as well as the actual house and the inside of the house as well. Right now, we're working on the application for the inside, but the outside and the land is already done.
Right. I mean, because that's basically about how long a photographer takes. Because that's the timeline, right? If you could get to that, then
exactly. That's the time. We're already there. And
that's
the
amazing.
Price point of that is going to be no different than photos and videos that a realtor normally pays. So that's
I mean, like, that's the other
So essentially, we're creating this world where you're going to have these 3D interactive houses where, I upload this listing almost like the MLS system inside our metaverse, and my client buyers agents can now take their buyers and walk the lot, walk around the house, go inside the house and do a showing virtually before they go into it digitally, physically, right? And then,
So we're not quite at metaverse yet, though, right? Because it doesn't sound like this is massively multiplayer, if you will, right now, today.
Oh, we definitely have the capabilities of massive multiplayer for sure.
How many people can you fit into, let's say, this apartment before the starts cracking up? Do you know what I mean?
So we can have as many instances going as, at this point, we're up to about 250,000 people we can fit in at once, but by the end of the summer, we should be up over 1 million. And then beyond that, it's going to be pretty much.
Hold on. Let's be clear about this. Are we talking million separate instances, or million people in the same instance?
In the same instance, but using separate. It's one instance that's using separate. They're all using separate instances, though.
So what I mean is, if I wanted to bring 10 of my friends into this thing, I can.
Yes, you can. Yeah. Yep, you can. So if you as one single unit, so me as a realtor, I can invite up to 4 or 5 of my clients in without there being any lag on the system.
Right. And if I'm the client, can I invite 10 of my friends to come hang out? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you can.
You can. All right.
Yeah.
So what doesn't yet exist is the perpetual, persistent, single GTA that everybody goes to yet, right?
It's pretty much done. It's there. It's just a matter of fine tuning some final UI UX stuff, and that's it. So,
because like you've mentioned, you have some NPCs and traffic and whatnot because you have to, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm just trying to imagine, dude, if like everyone let's say even 20% of people live in Toronto was actually in this thing. You know what I mean? And they're just going about their day. And that just naturally creates traffic, naturally creates whatever.
Yeah. You can do that, but why put all the strain on the system like that? I'd rather have the best experience possible. Rather have the best experience possible. From a corporate standpoint, if I'm inside my brokerage office and my brokerage is, doing because what we're creating is essentially a Verbella for everyone, right? Where every brokerage is going to be able to have their own version of that in this world, in the real world. So if they can go into their brokerage and interact with all the other colleagues and their brokerage owners and their trainers and their board meetings and stuff like that, 100%, that's going to be happening. And then we're going to do that right away. But from a standpoint where you're just roaming the world and you see random people roaming the world too, not there yet. No.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about the final topic that, maybe only nerds like us might be remotely interested in, is because this is so new, right? I mean, this mirror world thing is like brand new. You guys just started last year,
Yeah.
Where do you think property rights to this stuff, what do you think should happen to it?
Were you inside the virtual world?
Yeah. So let's do it a real simple thing, okay? The real simple analogy is this. This unit, let's say it's 5A, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say I own 5A in the real world, right? Should the ownership of 5A in your world be attached? Like, should somebody else be able to go buy the virtual 5A when I own the real 5A? You know what I'm saying?
That's a great question. I love where your mind's going with this. That's awesome. So you're absolutely correct. We eventually,
this is totally new. Totally novel.
But now you're getting into the NFT talk.
A little bit.
You're getting into the NFT talk, and it makes sense. I mean, listen, if you can buy the NFT of your unit, let's just say 5A, like you're saying, it's not even built yet. I take possession of my virtual unit, and it's tied to the title of my real unit. And every time I sell it, the NFT is tied to the title. That would be something.
Right. But in a way, you almost have to think it has to be, right? Because if I own 5A, right, that's my house.
Well, we have to start getting the masses to understand the value of NFTs then, because.
I'm saying before even NFT or whatever, I'm just saying this is a novel situation no one has even thought about. I own 5A. That's I physically live there, which means I should have some control over 5A in the mirror world.
100%. 100%.
I should be able to say, no, you can't buy 5A. I own 5A. You know what I mean? Like it's like that. This doesn't apply in the traditional metaverse. That it's not a real world, right?
Correct.
Decentraland or whatever. It's like it's a fake world. So who gives a shit? There's no
fantasy land,
right? Exactly, right. Whereas when you guys are in the mirror world, now you run into these issues. Like, wait a minute, no, that's my house. Right? That's my store. I have some proprietary rights to this, which is again, this is a legal situation no one's ever thought of, right? No one's ever come up with. But you're right. I mean, and that's where NFTs, that's where some of these things come in. Absolutely. But the execution is one thing. It's the concept of if I own it in the real world, I should own it in the virtual world.
Absolutely.
Right. And conversely, then, if I own it in the virtual world, I should be able to own it in the real world. Right. And this is where the title transfers and all that starts.
Exactly. Right. Don't say it to a lawyer, because the lawyer sounds like he might be out of a job.
Nah, man, the lawyer's gonna be fine just setting up all of the paperwork to tie the two things together.
Not if smart contracts come into play.
Well, we're a good many years, I think, away from that.
100%, especially here in Canada. My God.
Related to that, so especially as a realtor, talk to me about, and this is something we know that everyone has this issue, but it becomes much more real, I think, when you have something like Ntry. And here's what I mean. How faithfully should you reflect reality? Okay. So basically talk about the negatives.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, yes, it's one thing to say, oh, hey, I want to walk around the neighborhood and see where the stores are, see where the banks are. Okay. It's another thing when you're like, I want to walk around the neighborhood and see where the crimes are, see where the drug needles are. Do you know what I mean? Like, and let's face it, there are some parts of the city where it's not so nice. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
As a realtor, if you're showing somebody, a property in a bad part of town, there's always restrictions. There's certain things that you can and cannot do. Mm-hmm. Do you think about that at all? Like, how does it apply to something like this?
Well, I got to be honest with you, man. Maybe 10 years ago, it was different. But nowadays, buyers and sellers are so sophisticated, man. They know you can't put nothing by them anymore. Right. Not that I ever did, but I know tons of realtors, and we get a bad rep as it is because there's definitely some bad apples. Right. And yeah, you can't misrepresent something, you never should, because it's bad practice, number one. Number two, we can get fined for that. And number three, you're just doing a disservice to your clients. So we believe here at Ntry, to be honest, and one of my main things is transparency is key. So from a client perspective, whether it's a buyer or a seller or a developer, the best thing you can give them is full transparency, right? If you're trying to hide something, it's the best, it's the worst thing you can do.
So to use an example, right? Let's say you're doing a neighborhood where there's gang sign graffiti on the wall in the real world. Right?
Yeah.
Do you want to reflect that in the virtual world? Because it's real. That's accurate. That's one-to-one correspondence.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? Like, how do
I don't even. No, I mean, we're not. I mean, to get like graffiti on a wall, I mean, that's going to be tough to get even photos of at this point, unless you're walking the streets and you take a photo of it. But yeah, I mean, even Google Maps doesn't pick up that stuff, right? So, that's pretty specific. It's hard to say that kind of stuff. But we're pretty. Our entire system's almost on a 1-to-1 scale. We're within millimeters of the real world. So if you were to go to another part of this video, you'll see some contouring of a sidewalk, and the contouring of the way the sidewalk goes down, or even where all the road markings are. Those are all within millimeters of the real life. All of it. And we've been told by Epic Games, who supports us 100% fully, and we have partnerships with them. They said there's no one else doing this. No one else is doing this 1-to-1 scale stuff that you guys are. That's why they're so excited about what we're doing. Yeah, no, it's insanely cool, man. And I have to imagine. So, a couple things, just on the technical side of things, moving off the sociological and the legal, the technical side of things. Obviously, you don't own an Unreal Engine 5. No. Right. What was the technology y'all had to develop, and can that be? I guess the question is, how scalable is this? Like, I know you talked about all of Toronto, all of Canada. You're already talking to developers all over the world. Like, I have to think that, you couldn't do the entire world as one company, I would imagine. It would take a long time and a lot of money. Right. So are there, so is there some secret sauce here? I guess what I'm wondering, are you and say like Naver and GeoPipes, like, are you all talking to each other about like, collaboration, cooperation, something along those lines? That's for sure. We're always looking at different partners within the same space. Maybe not doing exactly what we're doing, but may aid in some of the stuff that we're doing or our processes, to partner together and help, the greater grand scheme of things move faster and make it more easier to, obtain. But yes, definitely. So you guys in the real estate space, are you being approached by a game developer? Because I could imagine setting, all sorts of video games in this world, right? You already have it finished. Yeah, definitely. We're trying to bring on some more video game, people to help develop more further. So we've definitely been, some of our employees here have definitely come from, places like Activision and other places like, places like that. So definitely that's our core team, and we're definitely looking to expand that further, for sure. Yeah. And are you guys, so what do you have so far? You have GTA, like how far out? We have GTA from Niagara all the way up to Barrie and beyond, actually all the way up to like Blue Mountain-ish. We're moving up to Muskoka now, because one of our developers has tons of resorts out there, so we're moving up to Muskoka now as well. So where we have reason to so anytime a developer has this new area for us where they're building, it gives us a reason to help develop that area within our platform, to provide them with what they need, but also help to further develop our platform. So all the way up to Muskoka now. And is there somebody doing this in Vancouver or Ottawa or Montreal? Right, like working for us? Oh no, like right now, either you guys or it's a different startup, doing this work. No one's doing what we're doing. It's very tough to get into what we're doing, extremely tough. No one's doing what we're doing, and right now we're currently only focusing on the GTA, and to be honest, we're focusing right now in Miami, and soon to be New York. Interesting, Miami and New York. What's the government
what's their response to what you guys are doing? Are they supportive? Are they fearful? Like, how have they been with you guys?
So our sister company, which it's all very convoluted. Our sister company, 3D Cityscapes, is already creating digital twins of cities to actually go to municipalities and also cities and countries, for that matter, to give them this tool, a digital twin, digital representation of their city, to help aid in many different things. Infrastructure, natural disaster, you name it, right?
Right.
There's tons of reasons why they can use it. So we're already using our platform and our systems and our technology for them as well.
Because one of the things that I looked at is, this makes sense for in a city, right? Mm-hmm. And suburbs is like little less because just, but where something like this world could be amazing is exurbs and country. Right, because then what you end up with stuff like, and I think I showed it in one of my posts, like let's say I own a plot of land, right, empty land, but I want to visualize what would it look like if I put a house there, right? Yeah, and then having the mirror world now showing not just like stores, like highways and roads and streams and the actual land topography, like dude, like that's the next sort of big thing for.
Well, what we did, we did something. We worked with the developer in Sarasota, Florida, and we showed their project that's up and coming. It's right on the water. It's beautiful, stunning. Mm-hmm. And what we did is the city had plans. So right now it's like a kind of a mess around it. So it's kind of a little, not a hard sale, but people are. It's a high. Everything over there is 10 million, 20 million, whatever. Sure. Big money, right? So these type of buyers, they want to see. It's hard for them to see what they're buying, and they want to see what's going on around them, around that, because it matters. Every little detail matters to those type of buyers, right? And what now, if you look at it around the building, it's all construction. It's a mess. It's a mess, right? So what we did with the developer, we worked with them. We went to the city plans, because there's public city plans in terms of what they're developing there, in terms of like a beautiful roundabout, all the roads that they're changing and all that kind of stuff. And what we did was we took all those plans just from photos itself, and we implemented it to show exactly what it's going to look. Right. Yeah. What it's going to look like.
Right. That's what I'm getting at. Right. And you could even imagine like zoning boards and city council meetings where you have multiple of these, like, look, here's our proposal. This is what it would look like. Yeah. Here's our proposal. Right. We're
already doing that. So developers even here in Canada, Toronto, Ontario, are already using our applications. We start with the base application and go to their pre-con meetings or their pre-meetings with the city, with their concepts, and try to get direct plan approval. Now using these buildings, which they'll later use and develop further for sales and marketing. But to get to your point, they're using it in their pre-con meetings with the cities, and the cities are going, "What the heck am I looking at? Jesus, this is nothing I've ever seen before." And then they see the sun move, and it's like, because you have some of the parts of the requirements of a pre-con is to get like shadow studies and all that kind of stuff. Well, here it is. What time of day do you want to see the shadow? And right.
Looking at things like traffic impact, and it's like because that's a big thing, right? Look, okay, so here's our building. There's 150 units, so that we think there's gonna be 130 cars, and here's what it would do to the traffic, and you can probably extrapolate from Google data or whatever, and
exactly, and we can throw in AI NPCs of however many people in traffic as you want to simulate that, right?
No, I mean that's why I'm so excited about the mirror world. I'm not that excited about metaverse. I'll be honest. Right?
Well, it's cool. It's one and the same. I think metaverse is a really big tagline right now, and people are just throwing it around for the sake of throwing it around. They don't even know what it means, and it's quite infuriating a little bit, because we're in that Web3 space. But people just have to wrap their head around what it is and what truthfully it is. And you're right, it is a mirror world, and what I like to call it as is an alternative reality, right? So that's where I think this is going. That's where the world is going. I mean, it's going to be a place where people go for entertainment, people shop, ultimately where people go to work, right?
Absolutely.
So that's what's going to happen. It's going to happen whether people believe it or not. It is going to happen.
I agree. And here's the thing. I think the metaverse, and again, Unreal Engine 5, the advance in technology, bandwidth, hardware, everything's going to expand. We know this.
Yeah.
And I do think there's a place for like a fantasy metaverse.
Of course there is. Of course
whatever,
there is.
It doesn't matter. Mega city, it doesn't matter. That's great, right? But I think that's going to be like 10% of us. You know what I mean? It's like the gamers, right?
Yeah.
We're the ones who are going to want I want to be in the Martian city and whatever, fabulous, that defy the laws of physics. Like, that's what I want, right?
Sure.
90% of us are going to want this. We're going to want the mirror world where the laws of physics apply, where there are cars, not spaceships, like, and the streets that are familiar. I think we're going to want this.
People
so I love what you guys are up to, man.
I know. I appreciate that. And I think people got to realize they're already somewhat living in a virtual world as it is right now.
What we're doing right now.
We're doing it. We are
right
doing
now.
it right this second. We're technically doing it right this second.
That's
I'm doing every time I put my AirPods in and I'm listening to something and I'm too toned out of what's happening on around me. I'm in another reality. Every time I'm going through Instagram, I'm in another reality. I mean, for entertainment purposes, every time I put a filter on my face, that's the new makeup. I don't know. It's people are doing it now as it is, and they just don't even realize it, right?
It's true.
They don't even realize it, right? So,
I that's how I look at it, man. I love what you guys are doing, and this is clearly the future of the urban. Well, I just do think in the next 5 to 10 years, let's say, that companies like you guys and Naver and GeoPipes, all these companies will come around. Others will come around because the technology will start to filter down from the, where you guys are at. In other words, like, more kids are going to learn how to work with Unreal Engine 5. That the AI and the sort of automation technology is going to get better and better. So we're going to have these suburbs. We're going to have the exurbs. Doing a listing photo will just come with a package of 3D, to put into the Ntry. Like, it's going to be something where it's not exotic anymore.
Man. You got it.
Right? It's just going to be like how we do things. Like, yeah, of course. I do think it's really interesting, and it's going to raise so many interesting questions, so many interesting problems. You know what I mean? Like,
well, hey man, all the large tech giants are investing heavily in this space. You got Facebook changing their name.
Of course.
You have, Activision and Blizzard that acquired, what did they pay, $70 billion or something for Microsoft acquired them. Activision, Blizzard for $70 billion. You had, I think Google did. I think they raised almost $40 million in private equity funds specifically for the metaverse. So you have these massive tech giants that have shaped the internet. Period.
That's right. No, that's why I'm like, look,
investing heavily in this space. So
it's happening.
I'm telling you,
for sure.
If they're doing it, I'm going to say that I think they know a thing or two about.
But I think so. It's this, right? They're doing it because they understand that the human level, right? That at the level of, to your point, a buyer wanting to walk through, right, a new construction before committing. That's why, right? In other words, it's not about the big tech giants. Like, they're not going to come and somehow compel us to use the metaverse if we don't want to. Do you know what I mean?
No.
They're doing it because they understand that at the bottom level, at the base human level, we want this because this is better.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, think about
that's why I love what we're doing. Yeah.
Think about it from a corporate standpoint, right? But we're doing this right now. Normally we would be in a radio station or in some podcast room or something. We'd be together. We'd be doing it, right? From a corporate standpoint, people do. I would think the pandemic, I know the pandemic accelerated this space massively, immensely.
Yeah.
People don't want to go back to the office, although I'm a big stickler for being in the office. I'm a big stickler for my staff being in the office. I just feel like, corporate and, especially as a startup, being together and brainstorming together is extremely important. But as time goes on, I can see half my staff working from home or at least some sort of hybrid schedule because it just makes sense. Like, what's the point of someone battling the traffic for over an hour just to come to an office and do exactly what they can do at home? It makes no sense. It makes no sense, right? And me as a business owner, I'm saying that, right? Most business owners are like, no, I want to see my employees, I want to make sure they're working. Well, you can see the studies are there. They're more productive and get more done at home.
So let's talk about that real quick, and then we're already an hour in, man.
Oh,
I feel
sorry.
like you and I could talk. We could just nerd out for hours and hours. But
fair enough. Yeah.
The last thing is this: you've already talked about the technology for interior. So if I want to sell my house, I call some photographer, somebody who knows how to work with you guys. They come in, they walk around the phone.
You can do an agent or
Okay.
We'll have an application on their phone, and that's it.
Agent walks around the phone, and then 48 hours later, here's my scan. All right. Where are we with doing that with people? Right. In other words, right now what you have is it's still kind of this God's eye, fly through thing. What you want to get to is, like scan yourself, right? Yep. And then here you are in the metaverse, right? And you're actually walking through the house, that sort of thing. Like, where are we with scanning people?
So we're already right now working on metahumans. So right. Metahumans are, I don't know how much you know about them, but you can literally.
I know about it. If let's put this. If you're interested in metahumans, go look at Unreal Engine 5 sort of explanations in YouTube and elsewhere. It's amazing.
It's incredible. Phenomenal. You can see the pores on their skin. That's how much it is. And I'm telling you, we're working with them right now. Yeah. And you still need to be put into a rig with cameras and and thousands of pictures need to be taken from every angle. What's not there yet for it is still kind of like the hair. It's still a little bit still not there yet with the hair, but everything else is very much like you can't honestly, man. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference.
By the way, if you're just listening to this and you care, go look at the Unreal Engine 5 demo using the Matrix, Matrix video game, because they scanned in Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss.
So good.
And it looks like them in the movie. I can't tell the difference, right?
It's so good. It's so good. Yeah. I mean, people have been using with VFX screens now. If you look at Mandalorian was literally created in front of I think it was like a 70-inch VFX screen that wrapped around a set. Yeah. And they literally filmed the entire movie in that VFX screen.
Wow.
Right. And none of it was really done with the green screen, right? Because then they're starting to see even production filming. They're starting to see that with the VFX, with the green screens, you still kind of get that green glare, and it's still whatever. And there's still use for it now today, 100%. But the VFX doesn't give any of that glare, and it gives you that you can give that CGI like look like you're inside the space right there on the spot with having to do too much like crazy amounts of post.
Yeah, so I know today you still require the rigs. When do you think, when is the technology where we could just do it with our phones? Like, how far away are we from that?
Well, I think we're closer than we think. If you look right now with Apple phones and stuff like that, you get that little, you do the facial recognition and it kind of puts like a pig face on there, or your emoji face or whatever it is. And it's already kind of mimicking your face. So I think we're closer than we think. I was looking at right now we're looking to those suits. We want to put, anytime a developer markets and sells their project, we want to put them in the actual project and do a presentation from inside the project, like inside this space right there that you're looking at. So the only way to do that is to get them in there using suits, so using these high level suits that will track their movements, track their facial recognition, track all that. So we're looking at them now, and I still think that's the best way to do it. But in terms of taking the photos and stuff like that, I think we're still a few years away of just being like a zzz and you're in. You know what I mean?
Like, oh, look, there I am.
Yeah. I mean, that's super cool. I mean, that's awesome. I wanted to be there today, but I think we're not even there yet with VR, like we were saying earlier. So I think we're still a little bit further away. But I do believe if people, I don't know how many gamers listen to this, but Ready Player One, I think we're like maybe 5 to 10 years away from something serious like that.
I think we're probably a little bit, because here's the thing. I mean, all of this, it can do the sight, it can do the hearing, right? Tactile is a little tough to do still, right?
No, listen, I'm telling you, I tested this suit. This suit, literally I can feel, I went inside water, I can feel the temperature of the water. As it went deeper, it went up my leg. It went up to my belly button, and the temperature would change as I went deeper in the water. It was insane. It was crazy.
Look, it's coming. I just don't think it's going to be in the next 5 years. Is all I'm getting at, right?
Maybe
my reference is there's a Japanese anime. You probably have seen it called Sword Art Online.
Yeah.
It's on Netflix, and it's Japanese anime, so it's cheesy and it's corny. But I love it because what that anime tackles psychology of being in an MMO. Right.
Yeah.
That only MMO gamers understand. It's like, look, it's not about the graphics, it's not about this. It's about the relationships and the activities of people. It's ultimately about other people inside the game. So that part's amazing. But what they talk about is like direct neural, interface. So, you feel, taste, all
plugging
of it.
Plugging in.
Yeah, exactly. We're still a little bit away from that.
I agree 100% for sure.
All right.
Let's get people to understand what an NFT is first, and then we'll go down there.
You know what? Forget even NFT. How about just understand this? Just understand Mirror World, understand scans and high-res graphics, Unreal Engine 5, what this allows. Mm-hmm. Look, man, we could go on and on, but I think we'll just keep it there. Listen, if I'm sure some of my people, some of the audience, especially if they listen an entire hour, they're gonna want to know more. Like, how do they get this happening? How do they find you? How do they get a hold of you guys?
Yeah, you can get on our Ntry website. We're live there. You can register there for some latest updates, or follow us on Instagram.
What's the URL?
For Instagram, it's at Ntry GTA right now. You can easily find us on there, and then Ntry, you can find ntryglobal.com.
Entryglobal.com, everybody. As Julian Pucci, hey, thanks so much for spending time with me, nerding out. But like I said, man, this is one of those projects I'm really excited about for what it pretends for the future. So really appreciate it.
I really appreciate you having me, and I look forward to keeping you updated and having some future poddies as time goes on.
All right. Thanks, everyone.